for a story that seems like it could have been cooked up in Hollywood. The Department of Justice is accusing Iran of plotting to assassinate Saudi Arabia's ambassador to the United States. But there's many things perhaps, about this alleged plot that just don't add up. So let's bring in Richard Falkenrath. He's a Bloomberg contributing editor and our go-to security expert, having served President George W. Bush and the NYPD in security and counterterrorism roles. He's now a principal at the Chertoff Group. Richard is in Washington. Richard, good to see you. Listen, you raised this question with me in an email yesterday. What is the would-be bomber doing with a supposed drug dealer, a Mexican drug lord? It just doesn't make sense. Explain to us what you think is going on.
Well, there's a lot of unanswered questions in this case, and so far I'd have to say it really doesn't add up. The Iranian Quds Force, that's the special operations branch of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, is a very sophisticated operation that has conducted cross-border terrorist attacks, particularly in Iraq and Afghanistan in recent years, but also in Argentina going back to 1992. This is a very, very sophisticated, disciplined special operations unit. And for them to do something as risky as going to a completely unknown Mexican drug cartel who's really interested in making a buck, not necessarily carrying out operations like this, just doesn't add up. It doesn't fit their MO from the previous decades.
Does it suggest to you then that there are several things perhaps that we don't yet know that either will undermine the case or perhaps explain it, because it kind of, as you point out, defies explanation?
I think there is no question there are things in this case that we don't know yet in public, and maybe they don't even know inside the government. And that's not at all unusual in very sensitive investigations, that the stories kind of drip out, piece by piece, and it takes a while for it all to come together, both in the FBI and out here in the media, trying to make sense of what's going on. In terms of the charges, the U.S. federal criminal process is such that it only takes a little bit of concrete evidence to convict someone of fairly significant charges. The individuals charged don't even actually have to have done any of these attacks. As long as they have a few overt acts indicative of an intent to carry them out, that's usually enough to convict. But this larger claim that the Iranian government was trying to assassinate the Saudi ambassador on U.S. soil is just such a sensational claim that it really is going to require a lot more international explanation before it's accepted on face value.
Now, Richard, is there anything about the way that this was disclosed that makes you think maybe there was something intentional about it in terms of making it an issue for the Saudis, who have been battling with Iran over Bahrain and, of course, many, many other things?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things going on. Clearly, Iran has been a thorn in the side of the U.S. for several decades, going back to the seizure of the embassy in 1980. There are also issues with Saudi Arabia, where U.S.-Saudi relations are deeply frayed, in part over Bahrain, a protest that the Saudis helped suppress against the wishes of the Obama administration, but at the same time, Iran was inside Bahrain assisting some of the protesters. So it's a very complicated time in U.S. relations with both Saudi Arabia and Iran, which leads me to conclude that there's more to this than simply a natural product of a criminal investigation needing to be charged in public and then announced by U.S. officials. But it's very puzzling why the U.S. government would want to make this public at this time when the one individual in custody seemed to have been, according to reports, cooperating with federal investigators. And ordinarily, you would only charge someone publicly in a case like this when you needed to go before a judge in order to keep them in custody. And if he was cooperating, he could have stayed in custody voluntarily.
Richard, I know you're going to help us keep track of this unusual and possibly exciting case. Certainly depends on the developments in the weeks ahead. Our contributing editor, Richard Falkenrath, and security expert, a principal at the Chertoff Group.